Some years ago, when in London, I visited the beautiful Westminster Abbey, where so many notable people are buried. There, in one spot, represented by all those tombstones and memorial pieces, is the majority of English history. I went through the magnificent monuments and was reminded of the reality of death. There were the graves of all those famous people we read about. I read the names and the dates and was reminded of the wonderful or terrible deeds accomplished during their lifetime. They all had one thing in common. They were all dead. On the floor of the north cloister, I came across a very unremarkable slab, a memorial tombstone laid in 1909 for a woman by the name of Charlotte Wilberforce, wife of the Archdeacon of Westminster Abbey. It was not an impressive stone. What caught my eye was not the magnificence of the marker, but the profundity of the words I read there. Written on that stone was an adapted quotation from Shelley, which he had written about a century before. "Peace, peace, she is not dead, she doth not sleep, she hath awakened from the dream of life." Those words impressed me much. So often we talk about death as falling asleep. It is not falling asleep at all. It is waking up from this dream we know as life. We return to full reality when we die and shed the shell in which we have lived here on earth. Death is not a falling asleep, but is rather a waking up. We think of death as a loss, but is there any greater gain than entering into eternity? During this life here, we remain buds on the vine. It is only when we pass from this world that we finally burst into full bloom. Death is not a loss at all, but the greatest gain. As the American writer Norman Cousins put it, death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we live. This is so. Think of those things that die inside us while we are alive on this earth. Our ideals, perhaps, our innocence, our loves. All that is the real loss, not death. Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. Was he doing Lazarus a favor? Who would want to come back to this life, having tasted the other side? Was this a gift to Lazarus? What did Lazarus see? What did he feel when he returned to this life? Oscar Wilde wrote a very short story called The Doer of Good. In it, Jesus, after his resurrection, goes walking through the streets and encounters people he had met during his life on earth. He saw seated by the roadside a young man who was weeping, and he went towards him and touched the long locks of his hair and said to him, "Why are you weeping?" And the young man looked up and recognized him and made answer, "But I was dead once, and you raised me from the dead. What else should I do but weep?" What did Lazarus think of as he returned to this world from the other side? Could he have been happy about it? We hear about individuals who have had so-called near-death experiences and have actually been on the other side peering into the next world, or perhaps actually standing in it, and are somehow or other, for some reason or other, resuscitated and brought back into this world. They often speak of their great reluctance to return to this world. Why then did Jesus raise Lazarus from the dead? Why bring him back to the dream when he had already awakened from the dream? Why would any of us wish to be brought back? Why should we fear death if we truly believe what we say we believe? What did Lazarus see when he was dead? Was it really a gift to return to the dream? I often wonder if perhaps Jesus apologized to Lazarus for bringing him back to this mortal existence after he had seen the fullness of life on the other side of the tomb. But he had a reason for this sacrifice. It was a gift, but the gift was not to Lazarus. The gift was to us. An encounter with Lazarus is an encounter with someone right here among us who has seen both life and death. An encounter with someone who gives witness that it is only in death that we fully encounter life. To encounter Lazarus is to encounter ourselves. So tell us, Lazarus, our brother, what did you see in death? Which was more heartbreaking, to leave this life or to return to it? And after returning, did you feel homesick for that other side, for that other world? And when years later you died your second death and left this world again, this time forever, what was that blessed homecoming like? Speak to us, O brother, of life and of death, for you have known the wonder and shaken the fear. Give us your eyes to see this world while gazing upon the memory of the world to come, to embrace the day in joy and peace, when we too shall awaken from the dream of life.